It feels so lovely to be here tonight. What a beautiful art. Give yourself a round of applause. You're so lovely. Everyone's so lovely. And while you're in the clapping mood, I'd like to give a big round of applause to my band.
Thank you for tuning in to 30 Something Podcast. I am your host, Drea. We got Farrell and Shay today. We got Lisa. We got Buns. And we got the lady behind the curtain, Miko. Tonight, we have a special treat for you. We have an interview with one of Lancaster's finest. Sergeant A.J. Johnson is in the building. So right now we want to encourage everybody to hit that like button, hit that share button, and when you share, make it public, because we do have drawings that you enter when you share our live. So make sure you do that, and you can always find us on Facebook Live, on YouTube, iTunes, SoundCloud, and always on 30somethingpodcast.com. We always want to send a shout out to J Rose for the beat. Thank you very much, sir. These beats ain't free.
No, they're not.
And we'll be right back with y'all after a word from our sponsor.
Whoop, whoop.
In another minute.
Right.
Maybe
And
not.
one more minute.
Hey, Zelton.
It's hot in here. I'm hot.
Not really.
No, I'm hot.
No, but it was a hot guy in there.
Not that kind of hot. We need Metro Men. For all of your air conditioning and heating services, please contact Metro Air Conditioning and Heating Services at 214-948-8888 or visit him on the web at metroacs.com. You can also find him on Facebook at Metro Air Conditioning and Heating Services. He's been in business since 1990, a member of the Better Business Bureau with a AAA rating. And he may not be hot, but he'll make sure that you're not. Now, where's that other guy?
And so we're just going to jump right into the winner of last week's giveaway of the photo shoot. It's a 60-minute photo shoot that you win with 1129 Photography. And we're going to have Shay do the honors.
Yay.
She gets to pick our winner from last week.
It's me. Don't nobody get mad.
Okay. So let's see who the person is. I made these papers really small. It is Gabrielle Brown. Gabrielle Brown.
Gabby.
Right. Anyone know? Gabby?
No.
We're going to slide in her DMs.
Hey,
So,
Gabrielle.
Gabrielle, we want to
to
thank you so much for sharing our live. And you are the winner of our 60-minute photo shoot. And it comes complete with 3 retouched photos at any location of your choice. I think it's like 25 miles from the zip code of 76016. Whatever we told you last time, that's what it is.
Right.
So go with that. And so
Send
we
us pictures.
right, and send us photos because we want to see you, honey. So
Yes.
now we're going to get into our new drawing for this week. We're going to be giving away a 30-minute Swedish massage at either a location of your choice or at Power of Touch Massage Therapy.
Hey,
Hey,
nice.
Tish.
Empower Touch Massage Therapy. Don't let stress and relaxation don't let stress pile up, and relaxation is just a phone call away. Call Power of Touch Massage Therapy at 972-898-2994. So everybody go ahead and hit that share button so you can get that Swedish massage. It's 30-minute Swedish massage. They'll come to you or you can go to them.
Yes.
And now we're going to go ahead and get into 30 and broke.
30 and broke.
All right.
All right.
Hey, Celicia.
Hey everybody, I'm Farrell Fellows, and this is Shay McNichols.
Hi.
So we're here to help you guys build generational wealth. Generational wealth is financial wealth that's passed down from one generation to the next. And after a recent Google search,
The
studies show the average American will receive $177,000 as their inheritance. So I just want to throw out the question.
That's not a lot of money.
Stretch the word average.
What y'all doing?
If I got $177 when my dad died, I would have been happy. So my question to start is, have you all received an inheritance, or do you expect to receive an inheritance?
Yes.
Negative.
I definitely do expect to receive an inheritance.
Daddy.
A piece of
Right.
no money, real money. My dad will make sure all of his children are taken care of.
That's wonderful.
That's
He's
good.
My
already
dad
planned
passed
it.
last year, and I didn't get anything.
Oh.
I think his ex-wife did or something, but I didn't get
Oh.
anything.
Oh, okay, sure.
The shade.
And my mom will too.
Good shade.
I don't throw her under the bus, but they want to make sure grandkids and children are taken care
Well,
of.
are we talking about inheritance, or are we talking about insurance money, like life insurance policy? Because is that considered
Okay, so
inheritance?
let me break it down.
Okay.
Generational wealth is the transfer of assets
Right.
and or financial literacy to be able to build wealth after you're gone, something that you can pass down to your children.
Like in a will.
So in terms of assets, I'm talking about land, property, artwork. I'm talking about heirlooms, diamonds, gold,
Right.
investments. If you own a business and that business is earning income, you can deed
Pass it
that or
down.
will that over to your children. And then also I'm talking about the proceeds from a life insurance policy.
Right.
Right. And so, like Farrell said, there are two components to building generational wealth. You have, your assets, what Farrell discussed, and then you also have financial literacy. So when you're passing these things down, then you have to ensure that second generation, third generation, so forth, that they're, informed and equipped to make good financial and solid financial decisions, because 70% of wealth is lost in the second generation. So to us, that just basically says that they're not equipped. They haven't been financially mentored or strengthened in that matter. So, you have to leave something to pass down, but you also have to equip your children and ensure that their children's children are equipped to be knowledgeable about the things that they will receive to
And
come.
see, it's like I think my mom did the Google study that y'all did, because she's the one that's big on the insurance policy. Like when she makes updates, she'll call me, and I know we about to have the conversation, because she'll be like, "What's your social again?" And I'll be like, "Why?" We have that talk. But as far as like assets and just having multiple children, trying to be responsible, because I think we had a discussion where it's some property that we have in South Dallas, and my mom was going to give it to my oldest brother. And when we discussed it, his first thought was like a strip club or something, and she was like, so I'm pretty sure he's not the heir of that land anymore.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
Right, boom, boom, boom.
she didn't say anything, but I know her.
Yeah. Well, part of building that financial literacy is that in my house, we talk about money every day. Like, it's a part of our daily discussion. So I think you have to make it a part of your children's lifestyle so that it's not foreign to them.
Right, but your son is what?
6.
So what type of conversations? I mean, what are you telling Vinny?
So he knows that there are 3 things in our household that we do with our money. It's save, give, and invest. So depending on what he does in school or what chores he has, he'll earn $1, a quarter, and he can decide what he wants to do with that money. So he's had a piggy bank since before he was born that's almost full now, and he can say, okay, well, I'm putting this money in my piggy bank. Well, today he chose to take his $1 for his school fundraiser. So it's giving him that autonomy to make those financial decisions with $1 or one quarter at 6 years old.
Right.
And you have to start early, because today I actually just had a conversation with a man. He told me he was 37 years old, and it's the first time anyone has ever talked to him about credit.
That's
Wow.
real.
And to me, that was
Yeah.
shocking because he has a great job. He served in the Army, but he wasn't equipped with the credit to be able to purchase a home. And to me, that was shocking. I'm like, your family, like my mother always, we didn't have a lot of money. She worked for a nonprofit and she was a single mother. But she would talk to us about credit is more valuable than money.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
it
And I
is.
think that that's something
It
that's
is.
not preached enough within the black community as
True.
well. Is black community, black people, we spend every penny we have. Like we'll spend all the cash that we have.
Consumer.
Right.
And when it comes down to white culture, they will go in and gather all the credit that they have, and then they'll file bankruptcy.
Right,
And then,
several
well,
times.
we only use my credit for that, so now while I'm filing bankruptcy, we can go move on your credit, and it's a very strategic thing.
Right,
But we don't
right.
necessarily preach that. It's like, okay, well, I got it, so I'm gonna
Right.
spend it.
And see,
I
credit
work
is a
for it.
strategic
Right.
thing. You made a valid point, Drea. It's like what you decide with it can just determine the future of your child.
Right.
So
Yeah.
I want to be very cautious when I mention this next little nugget because, I know some people misuse it. So Vinny has been on my credit card since he was 1 year old as an authorized user. And of course, my credit, 7, whatever. So his credit, right now he has 6 years of credit history. So if you're responsible with your credit, if you have good credit, if it's established, then add your son, your daughter as an authorized user on your credit card so that way they are building credit history.
That's a
And
good
it's
idea.
it's very solid.
Right.
But now you have some parents who got phones
Putting
and
bills in their name.
I think
Don't
light
they,
bill.
they have
Don't do that.
made
Right.
some barriers to prevent that. Like you have to use the date of birth and stuff like that. And I think if the date of
The
birth doesn't
creditors
match
don't
up,
always check.
They
that's
don't.
not
I've
good.
known
They
many
don't.
Really?
I
people
know.
who
Yeah.
have had bad credit and didn't even
And you
know
have to
it.
fight that. Like I didn't.
Yeah.
You were 2 years old, and you have to fight that.
And
as
so
an
what are
adult.
you going to tell the
And
like
it
the credit
sucks,
bureau?
and it really does suck when you get older because I remember when I was with my ex-husband, his mom like went and did some stuff like that, and it was like we was trying to get some stuff, and I was like, sorry, bro, like
He's like, that's not even mine.
what you doing with a Nordstrom's card? Like
Did she apologize? Did they have
no,
a discussion?
no, it was
Like taboo.
it was totally like, well, that's my mama, and I'm
Nah.
like,
Nah.
well, me and your mom finna fall over this rail because
Right.
she finna pay this.
That's a different
Right.
subject.
And
Right.
that's, see,
Right.
But
that's
that
the
just
benefit
goes
of
to
having
play where
a
it's like you shouldn't allow for, and you should always be checking your credit to see
Yeah,
what,
you
know
should.
what's there.
My
I
bank
check
gives
mine
us
monthly.
updates. I get free updates when it goes up or down, so I think that's pretty cool. I didn't ask for it.
And that
Maybe
wasn't
I-
available then. I wish it
Okay.
was, but it wasn't.
And then good
But-
credit can save you so much
Right.
money. Like my interest rate on my car was 0.9%, and I think I paid like $1,000 over the term, $1,200 over the term of my loan. I'm like, okay, versus some people,
Who has
18%.
13, right.
So Stanton King, he said our credit is bad by the age of 7 because of the several T-Mobile and
Okay.
Sprint accounts.
Do y'all remember? I'm gonna just say
Mine.
this real quick. Do y'all remember back when Singular, when AT&T was Singular, they would let your
Right.
phone stay on for like years without you paying the bill. It's like if
We
y'all
have
gonna leave it
Singular, too.
on, then oh well.
That's crazy.
Okay, so also you have to teach your kids about being an investor versus a consumer. Because you mentioned we spend every dime that we make, but what about investing? And that's something that will help build generational wealth. If you are investing now, you can will your dividends to your children, so you can still keep your stock and have those dividend payments being made to your child.
Yeah, I was listening to one guy, and he said he purchases a condo for every child that he has. And by the time they're 18, they get to decide if they want to cash in on the equity or sell it. I'm like, yeah.
See what
Yeah,
I'm
that
saying?
sounds good.
That's
The lack of information, though. And so that's why I'm so glad we have a diverse group here that can bring that additional information.
to like.
Right. So our goal as is to not be 30 and broke, but also that our children won't be 30 and broke.
Right.
Yes.
So we're gonna go
Right.
to QT.
QTNA.
QTNA is
The
a monster.
questions
Oh,
that
my
need
bad.
answering.
Lisa.
So, guys, Shay and Farrell did a great job talking about legacy building, establishing credit for our children and for ourselves. And it just ties into our Q&A question for this week, which is, should we allow our children to continue to stay with us? At what age, should we, tell them it's time to move out and continue to financially take care of
That's a
them?
deep question.
I'm with Shay and Farrell and all the ladies, what they discuss as far as setting their kids up for success. That's like big in my house.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get my oldest son, he's 16. I'm like, please buy into the program because I don't want my kids to come back and be like, can I hold this? Can I hold that?
Right.
I'm going to go back to, remember when I was trying to teach you these things? $20.
Right.
That's my limit.
That's all she gonna give
Well,
you.
I just want to say shout out to my mom because my mom is so dope. She allows me to pursue my dreams for a term. So I'll live at home with my mom until she kicks me out. And I will continue to purchase properties and own every type of investment. So I don't have a limit. If any wants to stay with me and he's doing his thing, he has a business, he's purchasing properties, he's investing, he's making sound financial decisions, he doesn't have to move out until he meets a young lady, wants to marry her and build her a house or something. That's what I think.
See, my mama told me ever since I can remember, when you're 18, you're homeless.
Oh.
And
But
she
that
meant
sets our
it.
kids
She
up for
changed her
failure.
life.
But
She changed her locks.
I think like the
She changed a lot.
I think that we really can learn a lot from different cultures and their way of life because I feel like every culture has something to offer, especially like the Hispanic culture. And I think that we don't give them enough credit because it's like 72 people living in that house. But listen, the thing is they're living in the house and they not moving out until they got the money to go buy another house.
Right.
And that's
Or build one.
or to build a home.
Yeah. Right.
And that's something that we don't it's not shunned upon in their culture for somebody to be living at home with their mom until they're 30 something years old and mom's still cooking. Like it's not a thing with them. But for us it's like, oh, I can't wait till I get out and I can get out on my own and I'm be broke as hell, eating noodles, ain't happy, can't take care of my kids.
But I want to say from the other side, what my mother taught me was to be independent.
Right.
She prepared me from a very young age to have the expectation you either go to college or you get a job. You're not just going to sit at home and live off your mama. Which a lot of people do. I've watched people do it.
Many.
You're not buying toilet tissue. You're not buying groceries. You're just sitting there living off of mama, and she's working, and you're not working.
Well, there's some people who live off of other people that's not their mama too.
Right. Exactly.
So then there's that.
So is it like a catch-22? Because is it okay for girls or women to stay at home, but then if you meet a guy who's living at home with their mom, you're
What's
like,
the plan?
he living at home with his mom.
Well, it's like, what is the plan? Like, is there a plan?
Are you building?
Right.
Do you have a business?
Yeah,
like
So y'all would be okay,
like
single
for
ladies?
a woman to stay at home with their parents,
Not
it's
me.
like traditional.
Not you, Lisa.
Whereas, you go off, you find a husband, y'all start building. So she's at home with her family until that point. But for a guy, it is that, that catch-22 of, okay, you still at home with your mama. So it's
So
just
why is it okay for the girls and not for the guys?
Because
there's the expectation.
There's a covering that's supposed to be there for the girls from a husband. So why would you send your daughter out single and alone, not protected, not having someone to look after her? I mean, you have a husband, so how can you feel that way when you're married?
She said she was prepared.
I was alone ever since I was 18, and then I got married at 27. So that was almost 10 years practically of being independent, graduated from college.
But was it hard? Was it ever hard?
Of course it was hard.
So Bougie
that's what makes you a woman.
But you were prepared.
Oh, Bougie Brooke made a great point. She said, or is that a he? I don't know. Bougie
It's a
Brooke.
girl.
Hey, Bougie. I'm sorry. Okay, so most men are still at home, quote, mama's boys. The girls get kicked out. Is that true? Is that true?
I don't
Girls
know.
are supposed to be.
True.
Girls are
I
put
can
to
still
a
go back
higher
home to my
standard.
Because
Okay.
some of the girls
Right.
have children to raise on their own sometimes, and so why does grandma want to raise your children for you? It's a lot of different variables that we have to look at.
We have that.
I feel like
Facebook,
we have to always see that people have different perspectives,
right?
And people grow up differently,
right.
All right, that was a great QT&A, Lisa.
Okay.
All right. Well, guys,
She said,
tune
"Please,
in. Keep
somebody."
giving your information as to what you think about the QT&A question, your ideas and thoughts. And if you have any questions that you want us to ask, please let us know, and we will use your questions in an upcoming show.
Right.
Okay, so is it time for Flirty 30?
Okay.
I think it
Time
is.
for Flirty 30.
We got a body in the building.
I'm about to catch a body.
Okay. He had
Is
his shirt
Chris
off
on the
like, no
line?
big
I'm not
deal.
gonna flirt.
I'm a flirt.
I was singing it. I'm like, honey, if you watching, I'm not.
Okay.
Yeah. but I might though. No. So Chris is on the line. Hey, Chris, are you there?
Hey, what's going on, ladies?
Chris is
Hey,
in the
Chris.
building.
Hey,
Got a nice voice.
We need to
Okay.
see that picture of Chris.
Yeah, put it up.
Ladies,
Let's get some additional views.
All right.
we're sorry,
Please,
but
stay
stay tuned
tuned
in because we
in.
still have some good stuff for you. But ladies, this is for you. Where is that? Hey, Chris. Look at Chris. Hey, Chris. Hey.
Ooh, look at that.
He giggled.
Look, I said Team No Kids. That was my bold advertisement for all the women saying, you know, guys got 15 baby mamas. Well, he doesn't.
So, Chris, thank you for sending in your info and giving us a little brief bio about yourself. So, while we have you on the line, just tell us who you are, what you do, and we see some hearts coming in. Okay,
Right.
keep pressing those hearts. Yeah, give us a little brief intro of who you are, what you do, etc. Whatever else you want to share. Zelton, stay on the line.
I know, that's why I was
Let's
like,
see. Well,
he's so mean.
I'm Chris. I've been in Dallas for 10 years now. Let's see.
From
Just
where?
got out
From
the
where?
military. Say again.
In Dallas, from where? Where did you transport from?
Oh, I grew up in Michigan.
Okay.
Cool,
Yeah.
cool.
Okay.
I just got out the Army last December. I've been working in IT for 4 months now.
4 months.
So
Okay.
How does it feel to be a civilian again?
Right.
What's your salary?
Whoa.
I'm just kidding.
Right.
no,
Somebody wanted to know.
It feels good to be
Right,
a civilian
somebody-
again. Takes some adjusting, but it's nothing I can handle.
Okay.
So why are you single, Chris? The ultimate question.
Let's see. Well, for
Tell us the
the past few years, I've been transitioning from place to place to place, so I haven't had the time
That's fair.
to really invest.
So is it
Yeah.
true that
He's a
the
nomad.
military
Okay.
guys are out there when you're going from place to place to place, you're going from place
Mingling.
to place,
Single and mingling.
Right. Are you
30,
mingling?
30. Is that true?
A bed shaker? Is
Let
that
me
what you're
correct
saying?
that.
Right.
Let me correct
Let's
that.
hear
The
it.
people watching.
Military personnel are out there.
Okay.
Okay,
But not you.
So
What
Right,
about
I was
you?
trying
What
to
about you?
piece that together.
Let's get specific.
I wouldn't say that I'm out there. Like I said, I invest a lot of time in the gym. So
We can see.
uh,
Pull that
Talk
picture
about
back up.
talk about your training, because he's actually a personal trainer too.
That's
That's-
probably hard to date.
Hey,
doing that.
Quanitra, she watching. Hey, girl.
What type of body
personal training. I've been
Okay.
on my
Body
fitness journey
expectations.
for 2 years now.
Okay. So, with you being a
Yeah.
personal trainer, like Farrell said, do you have a certain body expectation? What's your type?
Being a personal trainer, yeah, you tend to go for the more fit.
He's like,
But
yeah.
you can help get them fit.
Right.
Yeah, I'm always down to help. But, I mean, if you're not willing to
You
help
like what
yourself,
you like,
Right.
right?
So you got to have a baseline. You got to start.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he
It's a
typically
standard.
just said, I want to help.
No, but I
can't be my
no.
woman.
Let
You
let
want
Chris
someone to
speak
match
because
his
I want to
vibe.
hear what his body type is or what his type is. Because I'm sure all the ladies
Well,
watching
you
want
walking
to
into
know
a bear
too.
trap.
So what's your
Someone
type?
I mean-
What's your type, Chris?
I mean, a fit, I guess you could say a slim fit
Say, I
figure.
will.
Slim fit? You say
A
that?
That's
slim
typically what I
figure.
go for.
Okay. So are you open to all races, or do you specifically just date black women?
I'm open to all races. I do love my black women.
Hey,
Uh,
shout out to you.
Melanin activate.
Wakanda forever.
if
Hey, Juanitra.
if it's outside the black race, you just gotta come with you gotta come with something special
Yeah,
for me to go outside.
You don't want to
gotta be
end up on
loved.
So-
Get Out, Chris
So is this
version.
your telephone voice, Chris? Because it sounds like you're yeah, I'm all
practiced it.
cool and all that. Is that your telephone voice, or that's really you? You're really cool like that?
This is me on a daily basis.
So you didn't record yourself before you called us?
No.
You
I'm gonna
crazy.
talk
I've been
just
sitting
like
here
this.
sipping my little glass of
This is
Crown.
my sex
I'm from the
voice.
military. I'm
Okay.
6 foot, 195.
Leave him alone.
Thanks, Dad.
This is for the ladies.
Okay,
Chris.
they in here too, because I know
Chris.
Tiff was looking.
I have a question, Chris. What type of values do you look for in
Come
your
here.
girl?
Oh, that's good,
Wait.
Pharaoh.
Loyalty.
Loyalty,
Right, I was just
So
gonna say
Kamiko asked if you had PTSD because she feels like that's something that people need to disclose.
that. And yeah, I mean, because
That's
if you're
not
gonna
funny.
pop off in the middle
Because
of the
people
night, that
really do
is
have that.
serious.
That's a serious condition.
Yeah.
I think she was
I don't
seriously asking.
have. I don't have PTSD.
So were you ever deployed?
Say again.
Were you ever deployed?
hmm
Okay.
Yeah, I've been to Asia. I've been to the Middle East, Europe.
Well,
Hey,
thank
cool.
you.
Chris,
Thank you for serving our country, too.
Somebody
how
wants to know
tall
how
is he?
tall you are.
She been wanting to know that all week.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
6'2",
yeah.
give or
6'2"?
take.
Is it a firm
I
or like
feel
you
like
stretching
he's
it?
taller than that.
Okay.
I feel like he's taller than that.
It might be a little taller. I don't know.
Okay.
6'2"
You probably ain't measured yourself since 10th grade.
Yeah.
What's the oldest age that he would date?
So what's the oldest age you would date? That's from the producer.
Be
Kamiko.
careful now.
Do you want a cougar? That's what everybody
we all
wants to
30
know.
something.
Because
30.
he is
Be
28.
careful.
So the last person I spoke to, she was 35.
Okay. Okay.
Good.
So what's
That
your
little
idea of a good first date?
Good first date, lots of conversation. More or less like a family restaurant type deal,
Okay.
just so that I can actually get some real interaction, not too many distractions.
Do you date women who have children? I mean, 35, I don't.
Right. He got quiet. Stop
Hello?
Quiet, Chris. People watching.
Chris,
Well,
are you
no, I'm here.
Do you date women who have children?
Okay.
He was like,
You
hell
gotta
I
no.
do,
Body.
but I
But
will.
what? Okay.
But
You ain't trying to do the
Is
step
that your
daddy.
preference?
Just no drama.
it just depends on what you're bringing to
Right.
the table.
Right on.
He said he
And it
ain't
also
taking
depends
care
on
of
what
the
those kids bring to the table too.
Right. Then there's that. You just got expectations for everybody.
I mean, that's fair though.
The kids too.
I
That's
mean,
fair.
The kids too.
Yeah, because
I'm
what
not
he's
saying
saying,
no bad
What's
kids.
wrong?
he's saying that he don't want to have to help raise no bad kids.
Right. You're gonna have to rush.
You
this
gonna have to
up.
whoop
Yeah,
him and
I'm-
we gonna be together.
Right.
Right.
Feed your own children.
Okay.
So, Chris, you said loyalty
joint
is
account for
important to
them.
you.
Mhm.
So, are you a loyal person? Do you cheat?
very, very loyal.
So have you ever
She
cheated
is-
before? Where your exes at? Have he cheated before?
You can ask him.
Okay.
So, why did you break up with your last ex?
I don't know.
Ooh, Pharaoh getting to the nitty gritty. I
Right.
like Pharaoh.
Why
getting-
did I
back
break
up.
up with my last ex?
Yeah, she want to know because she listening too.
Because these ladies need to know.
I think Dre got the tea.
No, Drea don't. No, I don't.
Okay, so
Yeah,
why'd you break up
No,
with
they
her?
she didn't support me when I first started my fitness journey. She wasn't understanding or comprehending.
Of all the women or the no money coming in?
No,
Both.
neither. It wasn't that. It was just more or less of what my goals and plans were with my future. Because I had like I want to say about a year and a half left in the military,
Okay.
and so she was just always asking like, "What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do?"
Oh, okay.
She like the military benefits. Sounds like she didn't sign up for the fitness plan.
So when you
Oh,
get to
Lord.
the top, you
Ain't
hit
nothing
with
like
you wasn't
some-
with me in the gym.
Some good
Right.
Tricare.
Oh Lord.
Well, if you want to date Chris,
get to know him
or get to
better.
know him better, you can go ahead and comment in the live, or you can go ahead and send us a message. Please do not contact him because there are rules and regulations to everything. Okay.
Yes.
If we paying for the date, then y'all gonna have to follow these
Okay,
rules.
do not go jump in
Do
his
not
inbox.
click on his profile and jump in his inbox. Just don't do it. Let us know. Let us intercede for
Yeah,
you.
don't be
Thank
thirsty.
you.
We got it.
Don't be
We'll
30
manage
and
it.
thirsty. Okay.
30? Oh,
Y'all so
Trademark.
creepy.
So don't be 30 and thirsty. Go ahead and send us a message, or you can email us at 30somethingpodcast
Put his
at
picture back
Yahoo.
up again so y'all
more
can
time.
see one more time before
And then
he
we
gets
still-
Well, we
Yeah.
losing the guys every time y'all show the picture. We
That's
got to keep
fine.
our
They'll
male
come back.
viewers.
We need.
Y'all need to grow up.
We need singles, right? To send
Just-
in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we do need singles. So if you want to appear on Flirty and 30, send us 2 pictures of yourself and a small bio, 3 bullet points
Right.
of what you want, the audience to know, and you may be our next guest on
Okay.
Flirty 30.
We need
Thank
a
you,
lady.
Chris.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Chris.
Chris.
Thank
You
you.
were
Thank you
awesome.
very much.
Appreciate you.
All right, bye.
Bye
This
bye.
is a woman segment. Would you stop?
Who is K Cuff?
A fool. That's who it is. Come back. Okay, so
All right,
we
y'all.
Everybody continue to share so you can win that massage. Tish
Yes,
does
the-
the best massages. I just got mine Saturday. I
I
felt
need
like I
one.
could walk on water.
Walk on water. Did you feel like a chicken tender when they got done with you?
felt
So
wonderful.
Culture Vulture is
right.
up
And I was
next.
gonna say, you asked him about the PTSD because that's an issue, and we don't want to be insensitive to that. Everyone is following the death of Stephen
Stefan.
yeah. Clark, and his brother has become the advocate for his campaign. So a lot of my friends on Facebook, on Instagram, we were just discussing his behavior. It's coming off a little bit odd, and so some people say he has PTSD. They lost a younger brother sometime before, and so he just lost this brother, and they were just saying we can't judge the way people grieve. And I didn't agree with that. And so I got a lot of backlash from my friends. Some people agreed, but some people didn't. They felt I was being insensitive. And I just want to get some additional views on that from my girls.
So
and
what's
from
the
my followers.
backstory of Stephen? What happened?
The one that was shot in Sacramento by the police in the backyard at the grandma's house that didn't do anything. They thought he had a cell phone.
They
but
thought he had a gun, but it was a cell phone.
But he was shot in the back.
And they shot him 20 times.
So,
and
right.
killed him.
Oh, wow.
And so his brother had been, like, he even went out to the city hall during the city hall meeting. He jumped up on the on top of the thing and took the microphone, and he's just making like a real big spectacle of it. He even, when he was interviewed
Rightfully
on
so.
CNN, when he was interviewed on CNN, he kind of had the same display. He's been consistent though.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, I think, first of all, we don't know how he was prior to his brother passing. He seems like he was probably a little more turned out.
I
than
feel
most.
like he just extra
In
by
his-
nature.
in
I
his-
don't know
Yeah,
why.
me
don't
too.
think
That's
it
what
has
I'm
anything
saying.
to
So
do
when
with
you
the
add
death, so-
trauma, no, but when you add trauma
Right.
to a natural personality that's already a turned up
Right.
personality
That's a
Right.
good
that
point.
can be out of control, then it goes to a totally different level because he's never experienced his brother being shot in his grandmother's backyard
By the
That's
police.
true.
by the police.
And
So
there's
how
so
do
many,
you expect someone to tone down what was already probably a naturally high personality when they experience trauma?
That's
I
fair.
was gonna say, there's so
That
many
is
stages of grief, and anger is one of them. So
I definitely
Oh.
understand
I
that.
mean, I know when my father died, and I don't even curse, but I cursed my mother out. And to me, I was like, I'm losing control. But I
Right.
don't even talk like this. So for me to talk to my mother, who I respect with all my heart, I know it was just grief, you know, speaking
Yeah.
from me.
But you got it back together, right?
Oh yeah, I apologize.
Okay.
I feel like I think it's about time somebody flipped out. I think everybody been real calm and cool, and every time somebody gets shot by the police,
Look at Alvin looking at you in the back.
everybody,
We see you,
every time
Alvin.
somebody gets shot by the police, it's like, oh well, let's just go ahead and file the civil suit, you know, and there's not going to be justice, and it's the same script
Yeah.
over
I
and
agree
over
with that.
again. So even if it is a little bit staged, I appreciate the fact that he said, "Nah, I ain't finna shut the hell up. Y'all finna get this work. I'm
Right.
pissed off. Y'all
Yeah.
done shot my brother, and I it's something needs to be said about it. Y'all gonna hear this. I'm not finna sit here and cry and hold my head down." And he's been applauding his city for standing behind him during all of this.
Right. Tim
And-
said
and you-
turn down for what?
Right.
Yeah.
I like that too.
And Pamela made a good
They'll
good
shoot you in a
statement. She
suit, a
said if
coupe,
you're
a hoodie,
having
or
to
a do-rag.
relive the
Exactly.
same incident over and over, that can cause trauma as well, which is so true.
I
So
agree.
we were just gonna just take a look at the funeral, which I think is the least.
I missed him.
Come on, Stevante.
Look at this.
I didn't understand why they even made the funeral
I
public.
can't even
though.
take him
He
serious.
treated it like a Lil Wayne concert, and he was Lil Wayne.
But what's his name? I'm just gonna call his fool.
Is that him?
What's his
Yes,
name?
just watch his behavior change though, because he go from turned up to crying, then he start kissing on this man.
But what if he started
What's
using
his
drugs
name?
during all
He
this
is
time?
he is very
What's his
high.
name?
Yeah.
and this family.
What?
He does look like Weezy F Baby.
Wait till he wait. Just
You
wait.
don't
Just wait.
tell people in
He
pain
happy. You
how
know.
to handle their pain.
Right.
That's
Here
it.
it come. Here it come.
She said
You don't tell
And then he's
people
disconnected.
when you
He's
kill
high,
their
man.
loved one how to grieve.
I've seen enough high people to know high.
We did not come for you uppity bourgeois,
Bourgeois.
proper folk.
And then-
we came for
Tell
Stavante. We came
And
for the
he's an
family.
opportunist. Look
We
at this.
came because this boy should be alive today.
He's
Let us
grieving.
not forget
I
how
think
Al
he's
Sharpton was taking
grieving.
them photos not too long ago.
That's fine.
Let me say,
Right. He upset here.
yesterday,
I'm sorry,
And
it's
then-
inappropriate. Forgive me.
the president's
He looks so
press
angry.
secretary said this.
He crazy.
I cannot.
But then
So I
a
didn't
minute,
think it
a
should have
minute
been
later,
a public funeral.
he hugs him and start kissing on him, and then he hold him like a baby. And then moments after that, he jumped into the crowd like they were at a rock concert, and they was holding him up. And then, just
It's like a lot of action. So it seems like he's grieving.
Maybe yesterday, and I'm sorry I didn't get a chance to upload the video, but he's just out with this wad of money at the store, holding it like a cell phone. Just, like I said, he got this.
Jay-Z said do not do that.
But I'm saying, at what point, and so one of my friends, Ricky, he was on the discussion, and he stated that other races stick together through their right and wrongs, and we,
Oh, God.
me specifically, I don't need to attack his behavior, and more so just let it ride because they wronged him, and I get that. I'm all for that, but if we start using excuses like, oh, he has PTSD or he's grieving for his behavior when he goes out and do outlandish things, then when the next school shooter comes up and his people defend him and say, oh, well, he had a hard childhood and he has PTSD.
Well-
like at what point do...
Well, we don't
But
ever
here's
get
the
that.
thing,
That's
though.
totally different.
Right, because here's the thing. And we'll touch on this in the interview segment.
Right.
But Micah Johnson had PTSD, and nobody gave him a break. They blew him up. I'm just saying. So if we're gonna be fair about it, then we can say we have to look at it from both ends of the spectrum,
across the board.
Right.
all the way across the board.
Yeah.
And I feel like he's just whatever he's doing, he's not wrong for doing it. They
Yeah,
brought
and
the limelight to him.
Right.
Right,
And that's
yeah.
part of the problem is that the cameras are on him that have never been on him before. So let's take a camera into everybody else's homes and lives when they deal with different situations and
And
He
why
was
is
let's
it
see how
always?
was
you
asking
guys
for
I
react.
just want to
personal
know why is
drivers,
it
That's part of the
viewed
problem.
negatively when we grieve or when we act out of character, like
Right.
you know.
It don't
and
matter
it
what we
starts
do.
at a very young
I
age
didn't view
too,
it
like with our
negatively at
children.
first,
Right.
But he posted on Instagram asking for donations for a personal driver and 6 hot meals for 4 weeks. He was specific. Like,
That's what he did.
and I posted this on our Instagram page, so hit us up at 30 something podcast on IG.
Yes.
And it's
The
on
number
there.
is
The number
30.
30.
The
I
number
mean,
30. Yeah,
Maybe
it's,
he missed an opportunity to use his platform to speak on behalf of his brother. I mean, what he did probably wasn't the most effective way to express
Right.
himself. If you have CNN,
But we're still
Yeah.
talking about it, so
Right.
it's
Right,
being
but-
effective.
Yes,
Right.
but if my sister or someone in my family died, I would want to use that 15 minutes of limelight that I
Would you?
have to speak.
Are you
Right, to
sure?
do
I'm
something.
absolutely sure.
I think I would act the
want
fool because
to-
I
if my
would.
sister's weird like this, and I would act the
Right.
total
I
fool.
would
Right.
act the
if
fool
that-
in private.
I'm pulling my
No,
edges
not in
out.
private.
Like, I'm
Not in
finna act the whole
public.
fool.
I would act
I
the
would
fool.
We
have
don't know
something
how
to
we
say.
will react
That's
until
true.
the situation
Right.
happens
I
to
agree
us.
with
And
that.
I'm just
Right.
telling you the honest to God truth. I had a
Yeah.
sibling that passed away, and it wasn't due to gun violence or anything like that, but it wasn't expected. It wasn't planned. He was 17. It was an accidental drowning. I was not prepared for that. I didn't want to talk to people, and I found myself having to comfort his friends, but I left being like, dang, but it's my little brother who passed
Right.
away. It just looks like to me, Stavante,
he snapped.
that's just who
He needs
is,
counseling.
number one. And do we know if he got grief counseling from the first death of a sibling?
Probably
Right.
not.
Right.
You're
How,
right.
how was
Well,
he raised? There's so
so
many
There's a lot of
variables that
variables.
we have to look at that we don't have the answers for. I'm glad that it shines a light on
Right.
what has happened to Stephen Clark, but at the end of the day, we can't say how we will react.
Right.
That's
Yeah.
fair.
So
And
we're
that's why we
gonna,
wanted to bring it up.
So who do we
that
have
was
in
a
the
good
studio
one.
today?
Yeah, so today we have Sergeant
Sergeant
Sergeant A.J. Johnson in the building. And we're going to take a break really quick, but when we get back, what we're going to be talking about is Black and Blue, the state of the Black community in relation to...
So share, guys. Share.
Make sure you share the video.
Out, because it's about to be some really good conversation.
We'll be back in just a minute.
All right.
Have you been caught urinating in public? At a church, nursery school, your neighbor's pool? Call Wild Monkey Design right now. That's every man's right. And we'll defend your freedoms in court. Call this number at the bottom of your screen.
The day I was diagnosed with diabetes was the worst day of my life. When the doctor told me how expensive all my medicine was gonna be, I nearly fainted. I'm on a fixed income. But Wild Monkey Design was there for me. They pay for my medication and even deliver it to my door. Thank you, Wild Monkey Design.
Do you struggle putting beans in your chicken roast? Nothing you try seems to work? Now you can put those worries behind you with a Grind a Bean 2.0, brought to you by Wild Monkey Design.
We don't do any of this. We're a Wild Monkey Design, your identity design firm. We do web design, web development, analytics, SEO, social media integration, logo design, and layout design. Call us today for a quote. Hey bro, what you over there doing?
You paid for a 2-hour film session. It's been 2 hours.
Nah, man. Can I just get 5 more minutes?
And we're back. Thank you so much for tuning in. We have Alvin A.J. Johnson in the building tonight. Please share the video to win the massage and everything. Tonight we're going to put our What Now topic and our views at 30-something together to discuss the state of the Black community and also police shootings of unarmed Black men. So first we want to, it's me and Drea, really. We have questions and everything for you tonight. I want to get some background information on you so that everybody can know who you are and why you can be in this position to speak on it. So can you tell us how you got started with your police career?
Make sure you're speaking to them. All right. Can everybody hear me? Mm-hmm. All right. This is my 10th year in law enforcement. Mm-hmm. Actually, June will make 10 years, June 13th, actually. My law enforcement career started in Lancaster. I've been a sergeant for the past 7 years. The youngest sergeant at my department, so I'm kind of proud of that. Yeah.
Right, that's cool.
So that's pretty much.
And what made you decide to become an officer?
It's a very interesting story. So I went to college, and I didn't have any plans on being a police officer. Mm-hmm. But my major was criminal justice. Okay. I wanted to be an entrepreneur. But I majored in criminal justice just to have something to fall back on. Growing up, I was like everybody else. I didn't like the police. Mm-hmm. Specifically, it was 2 Dallas police.
Okay.
So that's a story that I share. And my train of thought then was, I'm going to grow up, be the chief, and I'm going to fire y'all.
Oh, that was your whole plan?
Yeah, that was my whole
You had a plan.
So I had a plan going into it.
Okay. So after you decided to get into law enforcement, you then went on and decided to run for justice of the peace. No, not justice of the peace, but constable. I apologize. I'm starting to get my people mixed up. But you ran for constable, and in that, what were your plans? Are you gonna do it again also?
I am going to do it again. I have 4 more years to prepare for that.
Okay.
But that is definitely in the making. I wouldn't trade the experience that I gained for anything. I gained a lot of knowledge of politics, a lot of knowledge of myself, the community. I'm deeply rooted in the community. I love my community. I love my city as a whole. And I just want to use the platform that I have, the God-given platform that I have, to kind of be the change that I want to see in my community.
And what is that
change before I go over to Drea and let her give you these real questions.
We don't really have those champions in law enforcement that I feel like we should have.
That's a bold statement.
People that stand up and say something to the other
Right.
people on the force. I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
okay. So you plan on being that?
I mean, hey.
Somebody got to do
Somebody
it.
got to do it.
Okay, well, I'm ready. I'm behind you if that's what you're gonna do.
So we're just gonna jump into these questions. I had to frame these questions. I was so excited because y'all, I asked so many police officers and they was like, "Nah, B, like you ain't finna have me out here with the career suicide move." So, but I really do appreciate you for saying yes. But the first question I want to ask was, as a police officer, have you ever been in a situation where you had to draw your weapon?
I have. Yeah.
Okay. And at that point in time, like, what does it make you feel like? Like, what emotions are you experiencing?
Honestly, what I was experiencing at the time, and they teach you this, when you experience a traumatic situation like that, everything slows down.
Okay.
And all of your senses are heightened. So everything slowed down in slow motion. You got supersonic hearing, and I mean, it was very weird.
Okay.
Kind of a surreal moment. It's like an out of body experience.
Okay. And do you feel that sometimes, maybe not necessarily with yourself, but when a officer of law enforcement has to draw his weapon, that he might be afraid? He might feel fear.
That's very possible.
That's very possible. And you just touched on it, but since you went into it, like, what is the protocol when it comes to drawing your weapon? Or is it just basically gauged on how you're feeling at that moment, or if you're feeling like some imminent danger, imminent threat? Or is it, well, you have to have A, B, C in place in order for you to say, okay, I'm getting ready to draw my weapon?
So we do have a protocol, and it's called the use of force continuum.
Okay.
So basically what that says is we have different levels of force that we can use in a situation, in any given situation. So the first step of the use of force continuum is just you being present. Your presence alone should deter a situation.
Right.
So of course the latter phase of the use of force continuum is deadly force. So in between that, you have different techniques and levels that you can use, such as verbal commands, takedown maneuvers, your impact weapons such as a baton, pepper spray, a taser.
So there's lots of options.
It's options, but it depends on what situation you're facing.
Right, because it has to match.
Yeah,
It
so
depends on the officer.
well, no. I mean, what I'm saying by that is, what you have to understand is the police, they're not going to lose. We're not going to lose.
Right.
Okay. So if you brought a gun, we're bringing. I mean, if you brought a knife to a fight, we're bringing a gun.
Right.
If you brought a homeboy, we bringing the whole city. We not gonna lose. I mean, and I hate to be so candid and sound so
No, that's
true,
real.
but
no,
that's
I just meant the judgment call.
Well,
You
yeah.
guys are at liberty to choose those.
okay. So the way that the law is written is very vague.
Right.
And it's written
It's
like that
lots of
on
Right,
I'm not
purpose.
saying it's
Yeah,
your
it's-
fault,
There's lots of
no, I'm just
discretion.
saying I mean, we operate in that gray area. It's all
Right.
about what you
and
can
I,
articulate.
and I think that gray area is where a lot of people fall victim.
Right.
In within that gray area, and that's where we
Right.
get the no indictments because of the gray area. As far as Lancaster Police Department is concerned, do you feel like you guys do a better job with community police relations than what you've experienced or heard about with other departments, or do you feel like
we have some great officers,
Okay.
and we understand that you have to be of the community, and you have to be able to empathize with the community,
right?
Before you quote unquote protect and serve.
Right, because there's a lot of police departments that'll go and hire Jim Bob from Kentucky,
Yeah.
who only black people he's ever seen has been on TV.
You so
when,
right.
When he's, you
You
know, and
so
so
right.
that's his impression of how black people are. He's never seen them. He's never, because you can live somewhere and not come in contact with black people. It's hard for black people to live somewhere and never come into contact with white people, but it's very possible for them.
Mm-hmm.
But when they're looking for work, they'll come down to these cities that they haven't, but only visited, and become a part of the community. And
not ever really be part of the
right.
community.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I
have a question. So, are there any people on your force that may have served in the military?
Yes.
Okay. So, my mindset with that is that when you've served in the military, the people on the opposite side of the gun are your enemy.
Mm-hmm.
And here, the people that you serve is the public. You're actually a public servant. So, do you think that there can be like a mix-up, between someone who served in the military and not really understand that you're there to serve the community versus seeing the community as something you should fear or
Definitely
be an enemy?
There's a lot of officers ex-military.
I've worked with officers who've experienced PTSD, and to be quite honest, after traumatic situations like the situation that I was involved in, you can easily develop PTSD. So it's not just your war veterans that are experiencing that. So in 21st century law enforcement practices, that's something that we've looked at, and it's something that we've tried to address through different outlets and different programs as such. So it's still kind of something new, something fresh that we haven't figured all the way out yet, but it is something that we are addressing.
I watched a lot of body cam, dash cam videos, and it seems
Live PD.
Yeah, so it seems like in a lot of instances, and I went through, watched the videos and documented, I counted, seconds, that the police have made a decision to shoot within a matter of seconds upon arriving on the scene. So, like, Philando Castile was shot within 17 seconds. And that's, like, from the time that the stop was made to the cop walked up to the window. He decided within 17 seconds. Tamir Rice was shot in 2 seconds. Jason Harrison, who was shot right here in Dallas, he was shot within 8 seconds, and he had a screwdriver in his hand. And so, and so on and so forth. So these decisions are being made. How do you feel about that as a police officer?
Not only am I a sergeant, I'm a trainer. I'm what we call a field training officer.
Okay.
So I would be the trainer for a new officer, per se. So one thing that I tell people all the time is one thing that you can't train out of a person is fear.
Right.
So going back to what you just said, if Jim Bob from Kentucky's never been around someone that doesn't look like him,
right,
he has his own perception of what a certain race or a certain person or a certain sex looks like. You see what I'm saying? So he's going to approach that situation based off of his own perspective and his own encounters.
So what does the police force do to kind of channel those inherent biases to put Jim Bob into a situation where he has to, engage
interact
in the community
as a person?
Yeah.
Right. There's no policy that states that you have to interact on any level. Yeah. It's a good idea.
Yeah.
But you forcing somebody to do more than their job is like asking a teacher, can you bring some school supplies since you don't have none? Some of them do. Some of them do, but it's not a requirement, especially if you're already uncomfortable within the environment. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So Study Pew Research Center did a survey on racial confidence gap in police performance. So they surveyed like 4,500 people, and a third of the black people said, and 3/4 of white people said that the police do an excellent job in using appropriate force on suspects and treating all racial and ethnic minorities equally and holding officers accountable when misconduct occurs. As a black man growing up right here in Dallas, do you feel like the dynamic of the relationship has changed within our community and the police after the shootings by Micah Johnson on July 7th?
The relationship was messed up before July 7th.
Right. But
way before.
Has it gotten better or worse?
It's been stagnant, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. We've tried to tackle it from different angles, but you also have to look at it through a different pair of lenses. Okay? Mm-hmm. So what I mean by that is we have to look at what we're doing as a culture. Mm-hmm. The number one thing that aggravates me is when a black mom sees me working and she's trying to discipline her child, and she says, if you don't act right, I'm gonna have the police take you to jail.
That's awful.
Right.
Yeah, so that's ingrained in our kids growing up. So by the time I have to deal with that young man or that young woman at 15, when he was 5, then he see me, he want to run.
Right.
You know, so we have to look at what we're doing.
Do you feel like the fear that we have as Black people that is substantiated? Like when we're driving and we see them lights and that hair stand up on the back of your neck, and you feel and your ass get tight just a little bit. You like, oh Lord, please don't call that second car. Don't call that second car. Do I have any warrants? No, I ain't got no warrants. And it turned from that to, I'm just trying to live. I'm keeping my hands where you can see them, and I feel really bad for the Black men because I feel like there's no protocol to it. So I guess ultimately the question that I'm asking you is, what are some steps that us as civilians, like what is protocol when you're getting pulled over that would not necessarily eliminate, because I feel like there's a lot of variables, especially like when we're talking about fear and you're dealing with wild cards, like you really can't call it. But what are some steps that you could take to try to minimize the escalation of the situation when you're being stopped, whether you're in a car, walking, whatever?
Just keep doing what you've been doing. Minus
that
the,
ain't really
the
helping
attitude. And what I mean by that is you can only do so much hands on the steering wheel, looking straight ahead. Just don't become argumentative, because you're not gonna always run into that cop that doesn't look like you, that, you know, in your mind wants to kill you. You might run into me one day and I'm gonna make a joke.
Right.
Like,
And I feel safe when I'm within the city and when I'm moving around places that I know. But if I'm in a community where it's like I'm not really familiar with where I am, you know, if I'm driving around Highland Park or something and a cop get behind me, I'm like, well, it's happening today. It's going down today.
I mean, you just have to be mindful of stereotype.
Right.
You're a Black woman.
Right.
So how does other races view you as a Black woman?
Right.
Not necessarily saying that it's true.
Or
but
it's fair.
You have to assume that. You have to be cognizant of that. How would this Hispanic officer view me as a Black woman? Is he gonna view me like someone from Real Housewives of Atlanta?
We have to be.
Right.
Yeah, you have to be.
I usually fall into like a whole
don't.
step and fetch it mode. Like whenever I get pulled up, I'm like, no sir. No sir. I just got my walking papers. Like I just don't want no trouble.
Let me be clear, though. You
your
said
ass gonna go to jail, 'cause
that you all at the police force or whatever, they don't tell people or teach Jim Bob or whatever his name is to be cognizant or of the race that it is and who they are.
I mean, we
and how
have cultural diversity training.
You do?
But how do you I think the question is, how do you unlearn racism? You know what I'm saying? Like, because that's ingrained, like, within.
This is true.
Right, it's ingrained. So it's like somebody can be friends with a colleague that's that type of way, but if they're put in a situation to where they had to choose between me and you, then they're gonna make a decision.
And I've been in vehicles with other races, and when they get pulled over by officers,
Talk all kind of trash.
They don't have the same respect that we've been ingrained. Like, you need to say this. Like, what do you teach your sons?
But that's what I'm saying. You have to. How does that officer view that person that you're talking to?
We have to be.
You have to be
aware,
cognizant
because
of that,
we're protecting ourselves from the officers.
And if you don't like the way the officer is treating you, I tell people all the time, he has a boss. And if his boss doesn't give you the desired result, he has a boss.
Right.
So is it illegal for us to put a recording device on the officer? Because I've heard officers, I had an officer try to take my phone out of my hand.
No.
It's not okay.
And they can't stop you from recording either. Okay.
Well, I'm
Go
sorry.
ahead.
I was just gonna say AJ helped me a lot, or Sergeant AJ helped me a lot as far as like the relationship, with Black people and police officers. So we get a lot of people on Facebook when he was running his campaign. It's just to light the mood real quick. It was like 2 girls missing, and then we lost the lady that got killed at the Dollar
General.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we was tackling
was
down,
really sad.
receiving information. I'm pretty sure that he and I, along with other people on Facebook, had information on the guys who done it before the police had it, like 2 days later. And then one night, maybe 12 in the morning, I called him and I was like, AJ, this lady, she sent me pictures of her daughter. She said her daughter was kidnapped or something, you remember? And I was like, I'm going out there. because she did a reverse lookup and had the address. And he was like, you can't go out there. It's 12 o'clock in the morning. I was like, well, you going to go? Because this baby probably getting mutilated. And he was like, well, okay, let's see. I think you were doing like off duty at a club or something. He was like, okay, I'll go. Just wait. And I was like, she getting killed. We can't wait. So he calmed me down, and he was just like, we'll do a wellness check. So she was wailing Farmers Branch. And I had to call the police officers in Farmers Branch, do a wellness check. They were like, it was no African-American people in that house. And I'm like, what that's supposed to mean? But the girl ended up safe. Her mom reached out to him. Yeah. So those officers that put themselves out there to us to be of help, we use them, and we do, like, behind closed doors, all work together.
Right.
Because
great.
I don't think we can just, like, save the world overnight from Jim Bob now.
Right.
Nah.
Right.
But AJ does his job.
Yeah.
So
I do appreciate all of the work that you do as an officer, and we also appreciate you coming on with us tonight.
Thank you so much for taking the interview. Nobody would.
To go through everything. We might get you back on another show to discuss it even deeper. We didn't have enough time.
I know.
We never have enough time.
Yeah.
So we really, really appreciate it. Remember to share our video so that you can win the massage.
And please make it public so we can see your names.
I would even also ask you to go one step further and say shared or share in the comments so that we can keep track of it and put your name in the drawing for next week.
I'm gonna win the massage.
We really appreciate you all for tuning in. We'll be back next Tuesday at 8.
Love it.
30-something podcast. See you next week.
Episode 4 is done.